Bang, bang. And we're back. We're going to treat this as a sequel. For those of you that were a part of the first one, got a special co host today, Nate Lawrence. And in the spirit of the same format that I found to be very functional last time, this is going to be kind of like a conversational sonata. And we're going to be banding back and forth. And your role in this show is to be just a fly on the wall. So enjoy the conversation. What's up, Nate?
Yo, what's good? Memorial Day special.
Memorial Day special. Everyone's at home.
Yeah, let's, bro. You know, I was
What are you work?
thinking
What are you working
it
on?
would be interesting to start. What do you think women play a role in the mission for, and like what is the mission for women?
I mean, look, this is controversial as fuck, but the functional answer to that question, in my eyes, is very clear. The only way that you actually get a blossoming relationship that lasts a long time is you got to stay in lockstep with the current inversion. So, it's a traditional relationship that falls apart. Operationally, it looks like this. It's a guy fucking walking on eggshells and tiptoeing around a woman's drama. But it really should be the opposite. In other words, a man whose mission is like ablaze and you're out there fucking carving up territory and fucking tearing up terrain to get things done, you're gonna make a lot of fuck ups and a lot of mistakes. And I think the biggest mistake that motherfuckers make is they make the woman the project. Every man's trying to sculpt a woman and mold a woman and make her the project, and that is completely ass backwards. If a woman doesn't view you as the project, it's pretty much game over. And what I mean by that is like I do believe the feminine, the primary function of the feminine, and I've just witnessed this with my own two eyes, is to actually clean up a man's mess. And I don't mean that literally, I mean that metaphorically as well. In other words, the man is the one making mistakes, and the woman is the one coming in and fucking rescuing and fucking bailing out and shit with like emotional support. Those are actually the strongest relationships, and
Yeah,
it's extremely counterintuitive. But that's what the feminine really does. I mean, you want to like boil it down to its roots. Motherfuckers that come back from war and have scars and shit, who nurses them back to fucking health? It's their woman.
totally, bro. Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
it's
and
fun.
I think a lot of guys are making the female the project, and they're trying to turn her. They're putting fucking sequins on it, and they're trying to spin her up and whip her up into this doll, and that's just not foundationally correct.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like I totally see what you mean, and it's funny I almost see men as the chaos of the kind of action. I think we might have talked about this. The female is the structure and conscious like thought. It's really like a woman has a vision for something, and I think a man is the one that gets that done. But to me, it's interesting thinking of like what kind of practical advice that means for a woman, since I tend to think a lot of it goes back to mate selection and finding a man that you trust to kind of build your life with. I think probably a lot of it has to do with eventually just becoming a mother. But yeah, I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's definitely the end stage for sure. But in the interim, when you're building and you're just starting out, I mean, look, there's a reason why women are deeply attracted to men who have a lot of fucking pathologies in their head. Like, there's a very good, solid reason for that. And I have a hunch that I've kind of chased around. This is kind of a dragon that I've hunted. And I've come to the conclusion, and it's really inescapable, that women cannot differentiate impulsive behavior in men as anything other than like high testosterone behavior. It's like a form of mimicry. This is why junkies, men that are workaholics, men that are like really, really type A, but also have very dysfunctional personal lives, they clean up with women because they become the project. You know
Completely.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's
They
such
become the project, and women want to essentially, it's the Humpty Dumpty fable. Women want to piece those elements back together. Um, and that is the primary fun like feminine role. Nobody talks about this, but it's just it's if you look at nature, it's a fucking fact.
yeah, that's funny because
But
the
most
more
guys
and
do
more
it the opposite. It's the woman fucking up and making mistakes left and right, and you got fucking Captain Save-A-Ho running in and fucking trying to clean up the components. And I mean, we know those all those relationships end up in fucking Dante's ninth circle of hell.
yeah, it bro, I think you were talking about this one of your earlier spaces because I always saw your header and I didn't really know why you chose that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of the idea that you have for the header of just the patching up from a woman?
Bro, that header that I have right now, like that fucking from Terminator 2, I think, is the most baller, iconoclastic, modern, postmodern symbol of the polarity of the masculine and the feminine. There's not You'll never find an image crystallized in time that rivals like what that image fucking means. It's a motherfucker on a mission who's riddled with bullets. And yeah, there's a little bit of irony in there because that chick is extremely masculine in the movie, but the point still remains. I mean, she's literally doing bullet extractions out of his back. It's funny, man. I had a post about this, and it's very true. Any of you that have been in long-term relationships with women, you'll notice that they love to kind of groom you. Like if you have blackhead pimples on your back or your neck and shit, they love to fucking go in there and do little fucking surgeries on them and pluck them and fucking pick them open. Um, and I once remarked, I was like, that's the fucking instinct. That's literally the classic female instinct of pulling shrapnel out of your back in times of war. It's just the innocuous version of that.
Yeah. Bro, you know what was funny to me is your tweet about the microplastics. I thought that was crazy because to me that kind of goes in tangent because we were talking about like the endocrine disruptors and the EMF and microplastics and polyester and stuff like that. I think that kind of caught a lot of people's attention with your kind of thoughts on that. So I was interested to hear more. I know we kind of talked about it a bit about what you think of the microplastics because to me, if people, I mean, most people might have seen, but there's just a study that came out. It was, I think, 100% of men had microplastics like in their testicles or something like that. And but you look at the study, it was 23
Sample
as the
size.
sample size, 23 people, and it's just so silly to me because really like once you understand the bioenergetic view, I think you kind of get to this state where anything that's a stressor, particularly the microplastics, like with adequate metabolism, high thyroid function, you're able to properly excrete the microplastics. And really, the only concern that I think a person should have with them is just avoiding like the basic exposure, but really just getting all hyper fixated about it is crazy. And I know you kind of agree with that too, but yeah.
100% I agree with that. I think it's crazy to believe that your DNA doesn't have the foresight to deal with plastic. Um, in that tweet, I did say that imagine thinking that plastic can interfere with your destiny.
Yeah.
I do believe that's a fucking home run point. And look, I mean, I'm someone I bet you I fucking bet the farm that I could build an IKEA full size chair out of the plastic that I probably have in my body. I bet you could fucking build a full size fucking chair with the microplastics I got. Because I've been wearing those fucking athletic tights for 15 years, lifting at the highest levels. I've done all this shit. I don't give a fuck about that stuff. And let me tell you something. I have created, co created two extremely beautiful, healthy children. So get the fuck out of here with any of that fucking rhetoric.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, look, the bottom line is this, and I've said this before, and it's worth kind of punching it home again. I do believe fundamentally that a man who is set ablaze on the mission, I do think you become a front runner, and you kind of end up front running a lot of illnesses. It's a theory that I've been working with. I've seen it in many, 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 many cases. There's a lot of latent illnesses that are asymptomatic that are basically benign because you are so maniacally obsessed with accomplishing whatever you set out to do. And I think that can absolutely be a form of palliative care and kind of suppress symptoms. And I think
Totally.
that's a better way of working it. And look, I know this is true because whenever I've been in a drought or I've been low on bullets or I couldn't fire or take shots the way I wanted to take shots in the market, I can actually sense the deterioration in my body.
Yeah.
I can see the sickness seeping in. And it's like I said, like during COVID, I'm pretty sure I caught whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't believe COVID was. I don't take COVID at face value, but whatever the fuck was going around, I had something similar because I lost my taste for like 3 months, and I chain smoked and max lifted every day through it, and I was fine. I was
Yeah.
completely fucking fine.
I think what you're talking about the kind of front running goes the opposite way too, bro. Like I think somebody could really max out their health and nutrition and whatnot, but if they're not in the right environment, they will have no improvement from the kind of physical implementations that they're having. And I think it's almost like a thing where it's like you need the energy to move forward, but you also gain energy from moving forward. So it's kind of to me an interesting thing to work with because I think a lot of the whole focus on metabolism is kind of this idea that once you have the physical state taken care of, then or almost I think this is a huge misconception that people have is like once you take care of the physical state, that's it, you're done. But really, it's completely intertwined with the environment, your mission, what you're working on, and yeah, I think Ray Pete recognized that, but it gets missed a lot because really, like the brain is the master regulator of metabolism, and
That's what I'm saying.
hormone
Like
controls it.
that's what I'm saying. If you want to go subterranean for a minute and look at what species of man right now is the hardest to kill. And I'll tell you right now, it's addicts, it's alcoholics, drug users. Some of them go overboard and OD, of course. But as a general unit, the hardest motherfuckers to kill, these pickled fucking alcoholic, leathery motherfuckers, they don't fucking die. And they're on almost like a suicide mission. These motherfuckers are drinking 300% the daily fucking allotted fucking recommendation of alcohol. And they live for fucking ever. They're fucking mummified. They're pickled. It's unbelievable. And why do you think that is? It's because of the pathology and because of the obsession front running the illness. I've seen these guys. There's these old time fucking alcoholics. Some of these motherfuckers live till like 90, 89. Like they're way above average. And
Yeah.
what is the common fucking denominator? They have a mission. Whether it's destructive or not is not the fucking point. The point is they're wholeheartedly obsessed on one fucking thing and achieving that. And so that's going to carry you. You know what I'm saying? You can surf those tailwinds pretty much into oblivion. I mean, look at all these motherfuckers. Hunter Thompson, I have a feeling that motherfucker would have been a centenarian if he didn't off himself.
It's funny because, bro, I had a post actually about this with like alcoholics, drug users, stimulant users, all with like very thick hair. I think maybe we talked about this. To me, it's something like I think there could totally be an element in the physiology that kind of makes a person drawn to using substances or be drawn towards vices. Like there's something about that. But yeah, there's 100% a protective effect. Whether or not it's from the physiology that's inherited or it's something beyond that is I think up in the question. But
That's what I'm saying, but the health accounts can't quantify this. So
no.
they're basically saying get your health in check first and everything falls in place. And I say that's complete nonsense. It's the complete opposite. You get your mission in check, and I promise you, you'll be led to Valhalla just through osmosis. Like you fix your path, you fucking set that GPS on course and you commit to that shit. And I'm telling you right now, you will start to crave the correct foods. Like your health will literally become the embodiment of the mission itself. And I wholeheartedly fucking believe that. I've seen substantial fucking evidence across all domains of life that fucking corroborates that. And I think someone would be very hard pressed to disprove that because it is kind of mystical. It's in sort of the metaphysical realm, which is why science doesn't deal with this shit. But when you observe it with your own two eyes, you're kind of like, fuck, kind of hard to disprove. The
Yeah, well,
health kind of falls in line, is what I'm saying, if you fix everything else. I don't think that's the first order at all. I think if you do that, you actually end up cucking yourself in a lot of ways. Because like I said, feeling good is not a prerequisite to success whatsoever. And I think motherfuckers who are fine tuning their health, these health mechanics that are going around and fixing bodies and shit, you could fucking do all that shit till kingdom come. But if you don't have a mission, it's pretty much game over for you anyway.
yeah.
And by the
I
way,
think with
people ask me all the
yeah,
time how you get your mission. You don't search for your mission. Your mission is literally given to you. It's
yeah, finds
it's
you.
bequeathed. Yeah, 100%. You're the benefactor of the mission. There's nothing to look for. And I'll tell you something. I think the biggest barometer for being on track is actually how many distractions you feel in your life. That's the signal. I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, how do you gauge if you're on your mission? And I was like, look, if you're perceiving data in your life that feels distracting to you, that's whatever you feel distracted by, whatever you're doing in that moment of being distracted, you need to go back to that because that's the fucking signal. It's kind of like you can't see the black without the white.
Yeah, I could see that
Because
totally.
I'm a guy,
It's
I'm
like
a guy who's thoroughly distracted. I mean, I juggle a monstrous life. I have an enormous amount of responsibility. I got debt. I got monkeys all over my fucking back that I'm dealing with, and I'm trucking through it. And let me tell you, it doesn't phase me. Like you can literally blast music, you can give me the most uncomfortable furniture. I don't give a fuck. I'm still gonna barrel through whatever the distractions are. And that's a testimony to the power of obsession and the mission in itself. You cannot throw me off. It just doesn't matter what you throw at me. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I don't need to curate. It's kind of like I said once before. I talked about how anybody can fucking meditate and get themselves in a calm state of mind in a dim lit room with candelabra everywhere. That's easy. But what about an active state of meditation where you're poised and you have grace under fire while you're in the midst of the maelstrom? What about that? That's true meditation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always in a state of meditation. I'm very fucking Tao.
what I'm thinking is for
Well,
someone
this is my
who
point. Let me finish this, and
yeah, you're
I want to
good.
hear your thoughts, man. I fly in the face of all this rhetoric because objectively, I don't know anybody that's under more stress than me 24 hours a day. I mean, I'm in a constant fight or flight mode of survival, and it doesn't matter how many digits are in my account, how much I have, how abundant my life is. I'm always fighting, and so how the fuck have I aged so good? How am I so strong? Why hasn't my body broken on me the way I've been pushing? And we're talking for twin decades now.
My main thought is that it's all chosen. I think stress is when you don't choose something. Really, I think it's almost what you're doing is more challenging your body, challenging your spirit.
Hmm.
I think stress is when you don't really have. I forget exactly the excerpt from like one of Ray's articles. Someone sent me something, and yeah, I think there's definitely a way that you can kind of like we talked about before, where you can just offset all of the physiological stress by having the mission. It's totally the case, I think.
It's 100% the case. It's like I think that's settled at this point.
Yeah.
I just don't see another
It's
avenue.
always
Go ahead.
because we I think go back and forth on things we already agree with, and it's like 100%, bro, 100%. We just keep it rolling, just refining, sharpening it like a little
We
axe.
gotta
But
we gotta factor in inflation, man, and start saying 1,000%. Because
inflation.
100% don't even cut it in the modern world, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But hey, back to your initial point too. This just kind of clicked in my head about the when you were talking to me about the woman's function and shit. This is kind of a tangent, but it is a good parallel. Let me tell you this. I am positive that so I've been rotating a theory in my head that women cannot actually fall in love with a man himself. And hear me out on this. I don't think women particularly attached to the man. I think a woman falls in love with a man's work and then she can no longer separate the embodiment of that man. In other words, the easiest, best way to get a woman for life is to have her fall in love with your art. And I think you can see this at almost every level. Any Casanova type, anyone who has extenuating fucking circumstances with women has basically had them fall in love with his work. And I mean that in a very, that's a very kind of ambiguous in a way. I don't necessarily mean vocational. It could be style, it could be mannerism, it could be art. Any of those things factor into the equation. But I do think it's true. Once a woman is in love with your work and what you do, it's a wrap. It's over. And so I think that kind of kills the whole clip about chasing women around town. Like you don't even have to do that because the gravitational pull of a motherfucker who has a huge body of work is gonna fucking it's a tractor beam. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna suck everything in, and I think that that is the fucking Taoist way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? That's the power play. That's the power position. The power position is that you don't have to chase anything. Your mission is gonna fucking suck in like a black hole everything, and you can filter it out from there and parse it out from there and tease it out from there. And when I look at any high performer, this is what I see going on in the backdrop. He dropped off. He's back. Yo, you're back.
Connection's just terrible today.
All
Um,
good.
yeah, bro, it's crazy because like I had a similar thing. I think where it was my thought on it, where I think women they they need to see something that's really just beyond a physical body, physical work. Like you said with the art, I think it's absolutely true. And we were talking, I think, about the guy of like the muscle bodybuilder compared to the artist. They'll always win 10 times out of 10. And it's silly because guys think that just stacking you can check all of the boxes as a man and still fail with women. Like look at Tom Brady. That's I think a really interesting thing. He's I think perfect. He has all the money. He's winning in life. Yet he's missing something. His girl cheated on him. What do you think is behind that?
I mean, I don't look. I'm one of these fucking. I can't cherry pick media. Like I'm one of these guys who thinks everything the media releases is totally fucking fake. So anything that I see in the media, this is why I'm so fucking. This is why I'm so hostile towards any health articles and any fucking because I see this with the alt right a lot. The alt right is on Twitter haranguing every fucking day about how the media is fake. Everything the media publishes is complete bullshit. All studies are fucking colluded. But then they'll see fucking arsenic in fucking Topo Chico sparkling water. And all of a sudden they're up in arms saying that that shit's poisonous. And I was like, wait a minute, you can't have both. Either everything in the media is fucking fake or like what are we doing here? Why are we cherry picking articles? So like the Tom Brady thing, dude, I don't even know if that shit's fucking real to be honest. I'll tell you something else that I really do believe, and this is a very fringe fucking theory, and this might be tinfoil hat shit, but I think I'm dead on. I think that these Tom Brady types, these motherfuckers that are so rich that literally have access to pretty much anything, anyone, anytime, I think their brain is so fucking fried and torched, they don't even give a fuck if their chick's cheating on them. They're fucking their brains are fucking porno charbroiled. So I don't I really do I tell you something interesting. I kind of think that and this happened to Charlie Sheen. This happened to fucking Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen ran through so many women. He fried his circuitry so hard and so fast that he started sucking dick because that's the only way he could get hard. He turned gay as like a functional part of his life because he just couldn't get turned on by women anymore because he ran through so many of them. I think all of these fucking big hitters go down this avenue. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like these billionaires, man. It's kind of the gateway to homosexuality in a lot of ways, and I do believe that. And I think Tom Brady might be closeted fucking homo.
That is very interesting.
Dead
Yeah,
serious. Because that brain, brother, let me tell you something. Fame is extremely unnatural. There is no organism, there's nothing since the dawn of time in our DNA or our circuitry that knows how to deal with fame. And that level of attention and that level of accolade and applause and fucking eclair, it's not hardwired into it. It's very unnatural to be bathed and fucking drowned in that level of attention. And I think it has very warping effects on the psychology.
I have something interesting to I think to add to that is that estrogen I think can be seen as the hormone that kind of I think Ray Peat called it the hormone of new beginnings. And my view of that is that estrogen drives growth in the organism, but without the structuring hormones like pregnenolone and progesterone and thyroid, you just have this kind of undifferentiated, constantly swelling, the tumor growth. It's like what bodybuilders look like, hyper verbalized and just reaching towards goals that are essentially just super repetitive. And that's kind of what I see with the whole culture of business and sports and media. It's really just stacking and stacking and stacking with no differentiation, no complexification. It's like um, it's kind of what I see with the people like that, where they take it so far that they just need more, 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 and it's not necessarily even creating anything. It's just kind of like swelling, almost like at the cellular level, where estrogen causes cells to take up water, they're de-energized. You kind of see that physiology come up with a lot of these sorts of types too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, athletics is a unique domain in general because it's really the only domain on earth where you actually it's very dependent on raw talent, and it's really the only domain where age matters. Every other domain in life, you can pretty much ascend to the top of the ladder and you don't even have to be the best.
Yeah, I saw you say that. What do you think is
And
like?
so there is that vapid sort of spiritual, I would say, like leprosy in the whole athletic game. But I do think those guys end up with their brains fried the hardest, for sure. I mean, those guys don't live long. Have you noticed that? And I think because they retire early, the mission dissolves. And this is like a total fucking, um, this is some scaffolding to my theory about the mission. I mean, who deteriorates the hardest when they retire? Fucking athletes. I mean, bro, I was playing high limit blackjack with Ray Allen a couple years back, and that motherfucker was a shell of himself. He couldn't even fucking speak a coherent sentence, and we were playing $20,000 a hand at Aria, but in the back room, and that motherfucker was literally like a fucking. He was done, toasted, mission gone.
Yeah, that I think almost lends credence to the kind of idea that longevity to me doesn't really even seem like the goal of life. I really don't. And I think intensity is. And people, maybe I brought this up before, but like people always ask, like, oh, why'd Ray live to 86? He was experimenting and he was just going forward on his mission. And he made so much progress, I think, with just health and energy and metabolism and life in general, that I think that's almost more important. Like you know, like the thing, it's like the hot flame burns out quicker or whatever it is. But bro, I totally see that, at least with the athletes. Yeah.
100%. There was that motherfucker on the Celtics, bro. The guy literally became a fucking junkie on the streets of like fucking Oklahoma or some shit. I mean, this dude was like a killer in the NBA. Fucking, I think like a bunch of NBA players had to have an intervention and fucking pull him out of the gutter. Like these guys literally crash the hardest. I don't think that's a bad thing though.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's like as long as you're living out a life that's worth living, that's what I do. Like, I don't think the Brian Johnson thing of extending life is really a useful metric for existence. Like, the thing that I think is fun is like uh, looking at a number and seeing that as the kind of ultimate thing that you got to accomplish. It's I think silly if you don't view the level of function like because you can live super long. You can prolong your own life, but I don't think you can prolong the life of the species. And I think there's a lot that you have to sacrifice to extend your life. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens kind of with Brian Johnson's experiment. I honestly think that just some like people have said this too before. It's like some random farmer drinking raw milk and smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee every day. They're just gonna outlive him 100%, and he's just gonna what do you call it? Not make much progress from all this anti-aging stuff. But
Dude, that's a fact. One of those life comes at you fast memes is gonna come. It's gonna be a split screen. You're gonna see fucking Brian Johnson on the right, like 130 years old, looking like a fucking vampire from fucking Bram Stoker. And on the left, you're gonna see some fucking chiseled, fucking leathery faced motherfucker from like fucking Japan, like just completely fucking puffing and drinking and fucking drinking sake every fucking day,
exactly.
outpacing him at every level. That's 100% coming for sure. But then again, I mean, look, you could play devil's advocate with this and say that that whole experiment is his form of art and shit. And to some degree, there's some credence to that. But look, I believe your power level as a man, believe it or not, is not in what you can gain. It ain't in what you can earn or accumulate. It's what you can waste. Your power level as a man is an expenditure. It's what you can. It's spoilage. It's what you can lose. It's what you can waste. It's what you can give away. It's what you can fucking, you know what I mean, disperse. And that's why I said the true masculine frame is actually in externalization. The masculine externalizes everything. It doesn't hold anything in. That's why the Stoics are down horrendously because they hold everything in and try to alchemize emotions and try to pretend it doesn't exist. It's not how the world works whatsoever. That's why that was an end of life philosophy. You know what I'm saying? For Marcus Aurelius. If you try to apply that in beginning stages when you're a fucking machine like, polished 24-year-old male, you ain't going to go very far. Um, good deeds for other people, that happens laterally also. That happens accidentally on the mission. Um, I think I was telling you, man, but I have minted millionaires. I have literally minted millionaires off the breadcrumbs that I've left behind in projects. Just literally going through my mission, leaving a breadcrumb trail like fucking Hansel and Gretel. I've minted millionaires. And what I mean by that is I have been I've been a massive innovator. I've created fucking networks. I've created jobs. I've created bizarre jobs out of thin air to give people income to basically support and amplify my own work. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I'm not even kidding. There was a time in, I think, 2017, I had a full time cigarette roller to follow me around and have freshly rolled cigs at all fucking times. And I paid them six figures a year to do that. And this was a motherfucker who was unemployed, hopeless, distraught, in despair. And I was paying him six figs. And then there were side deals. You know what I'm saying? So like, and here's the thing too. Like I've always had this strategy that's very underrated that I've never heard anybody talk about this, but this is the greatest fucking strategy on earth, and it's worked very well for me. I always take the short end of the stick when I do a deal. Like I don't fucking negotiate. I don't barter. I don't haggle. I will take the raw end of the deal like 10 out of 10 times. I don't fucking give a fuck. My energy is so abundant. I'll figure it out. I'll get it. I'll make it up on the back end somehow, some way. And this strategy takes you very far in life. Uh, the way that I got into that watch business when I worked with the objectively most powerful, wealthy watch dealer in America in my 20s was I was selling him Rolexes in the beginning, and I would take bad deals left and right. I didn't give a fuck. I'm not here to haggle you for an extra $500. You can keep it, buddy. Let me tell you something. You do that for a year, and you take bad deals, bad deals, bad deals, let other people win, let them get the better end of you, you have all the leverage. When it's time for you to call in a favor, when you got to fucking declare war, they're going to come in with the biggest fucking intercontinental ballistic missiles you've ever fucking seen to help you out. You
Totally.
know,
It
you know what I mean? But that's an energy thing, brother. This fucking intersects perfectly with your whole idea of bioenergetics. Because look, the bottom line of what I'm really saying is if you have that economy of energy and you're a high energy motherfucker, you're not worried about fucking price shaving, price cuts. Am I winning on every fucking deal? That's a fucking piss poor way to live. And all those motherfuckers out there that are doing that shit, trying to fucking scalp an extra fucking 100, $200 off every fucking deal, those motherfuckers never win in the end.
no.
Ever.
Yeah, it's all
Ever.
preservation, you know?
100%. And it's like I said in my last spaces, I was like, look, if you're truly strong, you're going to let motherfuckers prey on you. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it reminds me of like these tigers. You'll see fucking tigers in a habitat. They got all sorts of fucking organisms living off them and shit. They'll have like ticks, fucking flies eating like little patches of their back hide, and they're just chilling. That animal is so mammothic and so powerful that other life forms are gonna feed and prey off it, and humans are no different. Like I let a little bit of cannibalism in my life. I'll take bad deals. You want to scalp me for an extra 10 G's on a car? Take it, buddy. Not worried about it. I'll make it up on the back end. I promise you I'll figure it out. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here counting the fucking nickels and pennies in my purse trying to fucking keep my books together because I'm scared that I don't have the energy to recover from that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so dude, it's counterintuitive because taking bad deals my whole life has paid fucking dividends. That's the fucking paradox.
Yeah, there's a huge paradox to it because I think like something that people miss is that if you don't just get exactly what you want right at the moment, you have something to keep moving. Like you have a reason to keep focusing and keep striving. And I think that that's part of it. But again, it's always about just expending, expending, expending. That's the whole point. Keeping energy moving through the system, you know. And
Giving, 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 deploying, 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 circulation, keeping things always fucking moving and in flow, brother. That is literally the fucking method. And that's why taking the time out to go fucking to car dealerships and negotiate with some fucking dork for 2.5 hours because you want to save $40 on your car payment. I mean, fuck, man. You might as well blow my head off with a fucking double barrel shotgun. If I ever get to that point, you have permission to blow my fucking head off. Because you know what's ironic? That's the type of shit that gives you cancer. That's the type of shit that will make the microplastic fucking inflammation flare the fuck up. It's that type of worry and fucking scared, fucking coy pace of always feeling like everyone's taking you for a ride and everyone's fucking taking advantage of you. Bro, that is literally the shit that fucking destroys your body. I'm telling you. That's the shit that'll give you fucking melanoma.
completely. Yeah, but it's wild because almost letting yourself take the hits, it does so much more for you as an organism. But just it's about the Taoist, I think, kind of idea that kind of runs tangent with what you have, and then the bioenergetic stuff, where letting go actually leads you to having more power and more control. Essentially, I think it structures life the way it should be when you submit to higher forces. So yeah, bro. I mean, I think it's funny because I had a mutual who tweeted. He said, "My energy is only limited by the energy that I consume." Meaning that could apply to food, that could apply to obligations that you take on, responsibilities.
Yep,
Everything you take on adds to this bigger metabolism that's working through you. Is it's literally the cosmic flow of energy. It's like I think focusing on the metabolic view really applies at every level. So that's the thing that's just so powerful to me.
100%. By the way, that strategy that I employed, that was whether I was broke, didn't matter what I had. I'm always going to take the raw end of the deal, even if I'm in a desperate situation, because that is how you actually ascend Jacob's ladder. Um, and I'm telling anyone, any of you youngsters listening to this shit, I'm telling you, if you want to get in with the big dogs and the big players, don't fucking haggle and fucking try to wrangle them and rinse them right away. Fucking take the short end of the fucking stick in the beginning. because that shit will fucking massively pay off when it comes time for you to call in a favor. You got to raise capital for a project you're passionate about. Guess who you can go fucking call on a Saturday night, and this motherfucker will get that wire ready for Monday morning. That motherfucker. And that's what I did with the watch business. And by the way, I rose rank super fucking quick. I became that motherfucker's right hand man. And this segues perfectly into fucking bioenergetics because that guy that I'm talking about, you guys all know who this guy is, by the way. I'm not gonna say his name, but if you fucking Google him, you'll know who he is. This motherfucker was in his 60s when I was dealing with him. Literally, objectively, a pudgy penguin looking motherfucker. No fucking, you would not look at his physiognomy and say this is a healthy guy who takes care of himself, didn't lift, nothing. This guy had the single most insane predatorial mindset I have ever come across on this fucking planet. I've gained unfounded treasures of wisdom from hanging out with this motherfucker. And he had no body, nothing. It was a horrible fucking diet, piss poor, running laps around these fucking 20-year-olds. I mean, this dude would walk into a room, motherfuckers were spinning, motherfuckers' heads were on a swivel like they were the exorcist, spinning around. Who's this motherfucker? He would bust open doors like he walked into a door and you thought a cowboy just walked into a fucking saloon. That's what this kind of motherfucker was, that aura. And his life was in total fucking shambles and chaos. He was the most disorganized motherfucker I've ever seen. His desk was a nightmare. He had no idea where any paperwork was. He's fucking flipping Andy Warhol originals. He's fucking flipping multi-million-dollar paintings. He's selling fucking huge ass VVS diamonds to the Kardashians. Mayweather's coming in and buying fucking Birkin bags from him for his entourage. And this motherfucker is flipping. This guy's literally involved in like 350 deals a day, and he's lodging all the info in his head. He wouldn't even write down appointments. His life was a disaster. And that's what I'm trying to say is like fundamentally all these guys who have this insane well and reservoir of energy and vitality and intensity and force and make a mark on the world, all of them have the same fucking thing in common, which is that they're all agents of chaos. All of them have a very chaotic life, which goes which literally validates that quote you just said about what you consume.
Yeah. Bro,
And
well, it's
brother,
interesting.
let me tell you, this dude was in his, I'm telling you, he was in his 60s. He didn't even, the guy slept like 3 hours a night, but he just loved making deals. He
Yeah.
loved being in the fucking game. He loved what he fucking did for a living. And he would show up every day, workaholic too, working 14-hour days. And this guy was super breaded, had an infinite fucking cadre of women. He had no fucking deficits in his life of like you would look at a guy objectively and be like, I want that. And he was, bro, he was fat. He was fucking fat. So like no motherfucker on this platform can talk to me about this health bullshit because I literally see it every day. I see these motherfuckers who just have the mission, outpace you, outrun you, outlive you, outgun you, outearn you, everything across the board. Total fucking annihilation and domination. Checkmate, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, bro, you know, I'm thinking about this is that what do you think if a guy like that take him, take care of his diet, clean it up, not necessarily in the way that like these like kind of health obsessed guys are doing, but in the more bioenergetic sense where just adding, let's say, coffee or whatever sort of stimulant that he likes, adding digestible fruit, adding raw dairy,
It's gonna
gel
bevel his edge.
like that.
I
You
can
think
tell
a
you right. I can tell you right now, it's gonna bevel his edge, 100%.
I
It's
don't
gonna
think
dull it
so.
because what I'm saying is he's look, this guy is hosting a show in his head, right? He's hosting this sort of movie, these sort of theatrics that gets him by on a daily basis. This is what we all do. We're all playing a fucking movie. We're all playing a character. We all have a persona. That's just a fact. So this motherfucker, what I'm saying, he doesn't have the bandwidth to tolerate any additions into his life. You start tinkering and fucking with the and fine tuning shit, other mechanisms and systems are gonna fall apart. Just like that game Jenga. You start removing blocks, you start fucking with shit. Guess what? The pillars of that foundation. And I've seen this over and over and over, and this goes back to my central fucking thesis in my work, which is that do not fix anything. Like I'm talking at the acute level, right? If you have an acute pain, acute issue, I say don't fix it. When things get chronic, maybe it's time to get some intervention. And that's still a maybe. I don't think anything needs to be fixed in life, brother. I think everything sorts itself out and works itself out.
I do agree with that. Yeah. Well, again, I think it's just guided by intuition. That's my whole thing
You
with
know what
bio.
I'm saying? So like you start meal prepping with this guy and start putting fucking chicken tenders in his fridge and broccoli and steamed fucking zucchini and shit. And this guy has to literally have the mental
Well, all of
fucking
those are bullshit. So I'm
that's what I'm
saying
saying,
that's
but that's hypothetical. That's just hypothetical. You fucking replace that with raw milk, whatever, dairy, whatever. I'm saying the point still remains. Like, I don't know if this guy has the bandwidth to even make those inclusions.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I do. Yeah, well, it's funny because like I noticed this. I don't know what you think about this, but bro, I have not seen a single guy that's under 30, or probably not under 30. I'd say closer to my age, but like who's really sort of headed down a good path in life, who isn't like fully eating a healthy diet, fucking having beef, grass fed food, stuff like that. To me, it seems like something the younger generation like genuinely needs to take care of. I don't see it working with anyone that's younger. I don't know what you think of that.
Dude, I think it's honestly the opposite. I look at, and I'm talking I have a resource based model, so every my lens of life is like capitalism, fucking, I'm all about fucking flash and brilliance and fucking excellence and shit. So I'm always looking at terms and like of like upward mobility and achievement and shit cuz I think that's the most ethical form of spirituality is excellence, right? So my point is when I look at these guys who are excelling in the field, um, like these tech guys that are fucking very innovative and creative and creating all the fucking tech that we use every day. Bro, they're smashing fucking Mountain Dew and eating pizza for every meal. And it doesn't seem to impact the brain. I mean, this was my whole point. Like diet is very important. Don't get me wrong. My diet is perfect. I have an immaculate diet I have for many, many, many years. But I need that for the type of lifestyle that I live. I need that extra strength. I need that fucking gas tank. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'll even go a step beyond. I think the nutrition is very important, but I do believe primarily where the actual advantage that I have of being on a militant diet is just in being a control freak. Like I'm a control freak over what I put in my body for sure. I'm one of those fucking pathological motherfuckers who like I don't eat seed oils. I go out of my way to avoid all this bullshit. But what I'm saying is I'm a control freak by nature, and that is a symptom of that. The real advantage is that I'm just a control freak. I like to drive the car. You know what I'm saying? I like to fly
Totally.
I like to fly the plane. I like to drive the boat. And so what I'm saying is I think that's where I get the advantage from, even though I know the nutrition's important.
That's
But dude,
fair. Yeah.
but dude, I just ran that experiment. I mean, I ate pretty bad for like 4 months. I didn't see any fucking impact on my performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me because I'm trying to think of like what is it that determines that these entrepreneur types eat the slop? Why do they eat the slop? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What do you think?
So I think I know exactly what it is. I think these like tech guys and shit. The reason why their diet is so bad, believe it or not, I actually think feeling shitty in their body, like not feeling good, having digestion issues, being fucked up, is actually what helps them create the art. It's why they're so innovative. It's a fucking overcompensation. They're literally overcloaking their system by feeling like garbage is propelling them. Like they don't even. This is unconscious. Some of these guys don't even realize that they could feel 100 times better. That's like the elephant in the room. Is like when it comes to these types of lifestyles, a lot of people that are on a shitty diet don't even know what it's like to be on the other side because they would just tell you they feel fine. They don't feel great, but they feel fine. And I have a feeling, brother, that like a lot of these motherfuckers who have this fucking, digestion problems, fucking acid reflux, these little fucking issues in the system kind of overcloak it and overdrive things and are pushing them to fucking create because they're agitated at a very mild micro level. There's like some irritation and they can't sit still. They're fidgety. They got fucking ADHD. They're fucking, and they don't even realize that it's because their system's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And dude, I mean, it's literally look at every motherfucker in tech. I'm telling you, they have the worst fucking diets on the planet, but they're balling.
Yeah.
They're mega balling, and they're fucking playing the capitalistic game, and they're doing it to perfection. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, bro. Like you have to kind of pick your poison in life. This is why I said, as a man, I think you actually want to top your health out at about 90%. I think you want to stay about 10% sick, and I will die on that hill because that last 10% of sickness is gonna carry you very very high.
It's a stimulus, totally. Yeah.
If you cure everything in life, if you cure everything and solve all your problems, you will die very fast, spiritually and then physically.
Yeah, totally.
You got to
It's
be careful. You got to be careful with the afflictions that you choose to remove. Very
100.
careful.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because my whole thing, I think, because people talk about the environment deteriorating. Last time you were like, "Oh, no, I don't think it is. There's nothing wrong with it." It's I do think that there's a balance between that, but I think all of the endocrine disrupting things in the environment, the shitty food and whatnot. I actually tend to think, because you got me thinking about this. I think it's partially a natural outcome of evolution. I really do, and almost. However, these things shift our organism, whether that be towards stress or in a positive direction. I think it's kind of inevitable, meaning like if it takes a person out, like wipes them out, I think that is kind of what allows the overcorrection or the kind of corrective process to start. Like
Now you're
I
talking.
you said something where you're like death is the start of life or something along those lines. I totally see that with the case of all of the toxic shit in the environment.
Yeah, bingo, man. It's like all these guys that are fucking railing right now and haranguing about fucking microplastics. It's like, do these people not understand that before, like in a pre-plastic world, motherfucker, you were dying of like salmonella and fucking dang fever. Like, you want to deal with that type of shit? Like, you want to deal with fucking like jungle fucking diseases and shit like that? It's like you gotta fucking pick one because like syringes, modern medicine, vaccines, like everything all these motherfuckers have got to get herd immunity, brother. Like all that shit's fucking plastic based. So it's like you go to a pre-plastic world. All right, you want to die of Montezuma's revenge, like on the fucking Pinto, on the pilgrimage to America. Like people were dying of that type of shit. So like I think it's inarguable. I think we're in a much safer world, even though everyone's fucking tripping about the environment.
Yeah, totally. That actually kind of leads me to something. I was curious what you think about like the possibility of like a world shutdown or like kind of one world government establishment. Like, do you think a person should prepare for anything like that or adapt their life at all?
No chance, bro.
Yeah.
No, literally zero chance. I never think about that shit. And if I did, my lifestyle is already kind of calibrated. Like you don't have to prepare. If that type of shit was happening, the fucking like all you would have to do is go next door to your neighbor, raid their fridge. You know what I'm saying? Like when shit comes to that point and it's dog eat dog and the whole world is fucking against each other, the fucking predators are gonna win. Like, why would I have to prepare if Sally next door has fucking Campbell's chicken soup for 3 years? If shit really popped and everyone was desperate and there was like a literal purge, guess who's coming into Sally's front door with a shotgun? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
That's
It's
but
like
that's
when
that's like
you move
actually
into
how
that.
it would play out.
Yeah.
The people
It,
who prepared would just get preyed upon. Like, I mean, there's a deep lesson in there.
yeah. No, that's funny because I think once you're able to be adaptable to any situation, it kind of it almost like you realize that preparation is something that happens along the way after the fact. It's like the plan comes after the action. That's been a huge thing for me. Really, like I think if it just comes intuitively, that's when the structure starts to form in the best way possible because you're kind of propping up a false reality by preparing or planning out anything. And that's not to say that plans are bad, but what it is to say is that life is not static and you always have to be adaptable. So yeah.
Yeah, man. There's no script.
Yeah, I had something. What do you think about, I know you're kind of against supplements, but you, I think, would understand, like, because I think I might have said, like, the stuff about, thyroid and the different steroids and stuff like that. I think that, supplementing something like testosterone is 100% detrimental. If you're taking a huge dose, it's gonna suppress natural production and stuff like that. But there are things like, pregnenolone, which actually support their own production. That's like, one of, like, the vitality hormones. It's, I think, Ray called it, like, a anti-stress youth hormone. Like, what do you think of stuff like that? Because to me, that seems like almost more natural than just going without anything, just due to the
I
fact
just
that it's natural production.
It's a good question. I just can't justify it, man. I'm supplement free. I'm drug free. I've never fucking injected anything in my body. I don't fucking take anything other than real food. And I think I'll die. I think I will die in that condition. Motherfuckers have always told me, oh, trust me, when you get to like 45, 46, you're going to jump on TRT. I'm like, dude, go fuck yourself. You're speaking from your level of discipline, not mine. I'm good. I'm golden. And I'll tell you something. The motherfuckers who age like fine wine, men, you can literally fucking tell the ones who never injected a fucking substance. They age beautifully. Steroids, this is an unseen sort of hidden secret. Ages the fuck out of your face. Look at any of these roid heads who fucking pin even TRT for long term. You end up with a Ken doll type of body, and you end up with a very severely, the head doesn't match the body, is what I want to say. And if you look close enough, you can see this at every fucking level. You can't even talk about Sylvester Stallone or any of these outliers because all those motherfuckers had plastic surgery and fucking jaw filings and fucking, you know what I'm saying, hair plugs, whatever the fuck. So they're not even a good fucking counter argument to that. And then I think that hormones in the body is a symphony. It's an orchestra. And everything has to play in concert together. And I think if you start tweaking and fucking with any particular hormone, you don't know how the other instruments are gonna play, when it comes time to be at the fucking opera, is what I want to say. And I
Yeah,
believe that's 100% true. Cranking up your testosterone is straight up one of the dumbest things you can fucking do because that shit doesn't make you a man. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you a man. I mean, dude, look, if you're on testosterone every month and you got your bottles coming and you got a pin test, like you have to come to the conclusion that you're on a subscription plan to be a man. That is shameful. You're on a subscription plan. You're on an SaaS model to like keep your male characteristics. What the fuck is that? Also, also, this is the fucking sword of Damocles that lops off the fucking head of anybody who fucking talks about testosterone and making you a more of a hard charging fucking male. If testosterone was that valid as a metric, all the fucking roid head bodybuilders at Venice Beach would be the legislators, they'd be presidents, they'd be making policy, they would be literally forging and forming the pastiche of a world that we live in. And that is not the fucking case. It's all the testosterone lists, dorks, squiggly headed motherfuckers that are running the game. So until I see Muscle Beach start fucking climbing the ladder, you know what I'm saying? The Jolly Green Giant, and they start fucking climbing up that fucking vine and coming to the top, maybe I'll change my opinion. But I haven't seen that happen yet.
yeah, totally. Yeah, bro, you said something a little while ago. I think it was like you were talking about tech. It really intrigued me. You were like, the online world is where all the action is now, and the physical world is just where you go recharge to then go right back online. Can you go a bit more into that? I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, so actually not redacted, I rescinded a theory because I used to say the real world was never going out of style. People would still be, inking deals on cocktail napkins at fucking bodegas and shit. And that sort of romanticism of like the Hilton Hotel, I believe that deal, the guy who bought the Hilton brand, I literally believe that contract was signed on a napkin at a restaurant. Like there's some romanticism there for sure, some Melvillian romanticism. But I'm here to say that in the modern world, I do believe that property, that attribute has inverted. I do think the physical realm now is where you actually take a break to get back online. Everything's online, making money, meeting fucking communities, dating, everything's fucking online. And I think we have to embrace it because the modernity is giving handouts. You know what I'm saying? Nature is very benevolent, and whatever forces have brought us here have basically dawned on us these tokens, and to sort of, you know, stifle those or pearl clutch about it, I think is a huge, massive mistake. I mean, when I go to the gym now and I go to the fucking park and shit, or I take my son or my daughter to the park and go into the sun, I look at it as just a fucking recharge station. You know what I'm saying? To come back online. Everything I do is remote now. Do I have some resentment towards it? Of course I do. But I also have to lean into it or I'm gonna miss the fucking free handouts. It's a massive mistake not to be online. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? It's the
totally.
most interesting theater in the world.
Yeah, bro, it's interesting, like, like Ted Kaczynski, like the Unabomber, how he said that like tech is like the end of everything. I actually think like because I think it kind of goes in line with the endocrine disrupting stuff where it's almost like a natural outcome of evolution. Like Ray talked about these guys, Vernadsky and Desjardins, I think is a French guy. He had a theory about like there's the geosphere, which is just planetary life, then the biosphere, which is biological animals and humans, and then the new sphere, which essentially is technology. And all
Hmm.
of these systems evolve together, and it's interesting seeing how they blend now, because I think tech is definitely something that can cause degradation to a person's system. Just the I honestly do think that the EMF and blue light is not helpful. I don't think it is. So it'll be interesting to see because there's a few projects coming out now that are making better tech. There's this company Daylight Computer. They just launched a blue light free computer. It looks really fucking sick, and you can use it out
100%.
like that. So yeah, bro.
100%. That's a good point. Look, I mean, like I live as primal paleo as possible. Like when the sun goes down, I keep all my lights off in the house. I hate artificial light. I don't. Like I am disgusted and fucking repulsed by having light switches on at night. You can just tell it's fucking unhealthy as fuck. So I keep lights off when the sun goes down in the house. I like candles. Like I'm into all that shit for sure. But I will say that the fucking like the tech shit as like the functional way that I've dealt with this, and I think I was 10 years ahead of my time. I don't have a computer. I haven't used a computer. I haven't typed on a computer in probably 15 years. And that has been a massive game changer. I run everything off my phone and I have for a very long time. If I can't run a business, if I can't do a deal, if I can't do it from my phone, I ain't doing it because I hate sitting in front of a fucking computer. And by osmosis, yet again, talking about lateral achievement, just by having the phone, I'm so fucking mobile, bro. I think I said on a spaces, I literally walk and I never gauged this. I just one day opened the app but haphazardly and looked at my daily steps. I'm clocking like 15,000 steps a day just walking around my estate on the phone, moving. Every phone call I'm on, I'm fucking pacing back and forth like a Siberian tiger, chain smoking, going outside. I get probably 6 to 7 hours a day of sunlight just from because I like to be outside on the phone, walking around, moving around. I'm always up on my feet. I rarely am laying down or chilling or like in a chair. Rarely. And that's the benefit of just running everything off the mobile phone. And then you'll have some motherfuckers who will contest this and they'll be like, well, how do you get graphics done? How do you fucking, because there's some things that operationally are a little bit tougher on the phone. It's like, motherfucker, you outsource that. If I have to get an image done, if I have to get something created, I have a team for that. There's an assistant who will cook that shit up for me and send it to me in 5 minutes. But the phone is nifty as fuck. And I've been doing this for a long time, brother. Like I don't see myself ever sitting in front of a computer ever again. I just can't do it. It's soul killing to me. Like I literally cringe when I fucking see a laptop and I see motherfuckers sitting in a fucking chair, hunched over, fucking shoulders internally rotated, carpal tunnel motherfuckers like punching keys. I just don't fucking like it. And I'm all about agility and I like the fucking speed and the fucking efficiency of just having a tiny little fucking device in my pocket that can do everything. The iPhone is a Swiss Army knife.
Totally.
It's a movie studio in your pocket. It's a crypto wallet. It's got every fucking thing. Finance, banking. There's nothing you can't do on your fucking phone. Nothing. in the modern world. There's an app for it. Like you can shortcut shit, you can fucking jerry rig it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Bro, it's funny because people ask me why I put my videos in vertical form on Twitter, and I genuinely think that like long form, like content or stuff like that should be in vertical because just it kind of gets you into the state of movement. You know, it's just that it's exactly what you're describing. So, man, it's gonna be interesting to see, just how tech kind of changes over these next few years or whatever. But yeah,
100%. 100%. And then make it do this just blend seamlessly with what I've been saying about movement and flow and just, just do running everything from the phone, brother. Like learning and action, those things are very well connected things. And I've talked about it at length. Like when you're on the phone and you're talking to people, there is more authority that gets established when you're standing up. You know what I'm saying? Like doing sales calls in a seated position. That sounds like hell on earth. That sounds like a death sentence to me. Because your body literally does not think well when it's seated. You can literally test this. This is why people have a natural impulse. If your phone rings and you're sitting on a couch, a lot of people have a natural inclination to stand up and start walking around while they're on the phone. And that's unconscious. And that's because you think clearer when you're in movement.
you want to hear something interesting about this? I was just looking into like kind of the why we move so much when we're speaking, and there's something really interesting about the calves where they're pumping blood almost like a second heart. So it's keeping blood flowing throughout the body. It was so interesting to me to think about because that's fueling your brain. And yeah, man, it's just wild to think how the system is interconnected.